Very special guest up next for one of our mini pods. This is a man who's been doing so much amazing work behind the scenes, helping us out with our free newsletter, inthemoneypodcast.com/email, helping us out on the In the Money Plus side, inthemoneypodcast.com/plus. He's also the man we gave the dirty work. He's been creating the Derby top 10 lists you've been watching on YouTube. If you're a regular over there, help us out and subscribe to that channel. By the way, I speak of Eric DeCoster. Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing great because we're just a weekend change from the Kentucky Derby, and it's the best time of year.
Is this a race that you always do this level of work for, or have we definitely caused you to do a little bit more early searching and finding with the various tasks we've been giving you?
I mean, over the months, yes, I probably put in this much work, and I get to keep the list together, which is just an added bonus for me as well. But as we get closer, between my own personal looks at it and taking care of other people's stuff and proofing and whatnot, I like to tell people I think I know more about every Derby horse than just from all the different layers of content. But I love it that way. I mean, at least I can say I'm prepared.
That's right. And we're going to get to your overview of the race as a last question. Stick around till the end of the video to hear that. We also encourage you to give your comments in all these videos on the various contenders we talk about. For me, this horse, we're going to talk about Epic Ride. Pretty interesting. We'll get your verdict on him, but yeah, let's hear it in the comments. What do you think of Epic Ride? Who are your potential interesting long shots for this year's Kentucky Derby? Let's start out with more of a biography of Epic Ride. How did he get here? I know currently he's on the outside looking in, but feels very likely he's going to make the race. I'd love to get a little bit of background on him.
Yeah, I mean, he's right on the door as of now. He's one out, so as we know, the Derby can change a lot 2 days before. So there's a good chance if he stays healthy, he'll be racing. So that's a good confidence booster. He made his first 4 starts at Turfway on the Tapeta, and he lost on debut going short just by a little. It was a very encouraging run. And in his next start, he just aired. I mean, he won for fun, won by 5 lengths, could have won by more. It was pretty under wraps. And one thing about him that you kind of notice if you go back and watch his replays is he is very green early on in his career, and he probably still has some of those tendencies. But it was very evident, even in winning, there's a lot he had to figure out mentally. Well, he went to the Leonidas Stakes next, kind of the first race in that 3-race series at Turfway for their Derby points. It didn't carry points, but it led into the next. Won that for fun, but on the wrong lead, looking very silly. And so that made him the big favorite for the Battaglia, obviously good local form, earning Derby points, and then he lost to Encino. But that's not the worst thing in the world, it turns out, losing to Encino, because he'll be well regarded coming into the Derby. And he kind of beat himself. He's a horse who had kind of needed the lead at times, and he wanted to be forward and have a clean face. Well, he got squeezed out early. They went after him, and it took him out of his element. He was rank. He struggled, but he still fought on. So that's another sign of his greenness. But you also love to see a horse who can fight. And then that obviously led into his next start, the Bluegrass, where he ran that very impressive third in my eyes behind Sierra Leone and Just a Touch.
It was an interesting race. A lot of people have gone back and forth about it. There's been some talk that I don't necessarily agree with, that it was a big speed day on Bluegrass Day. I would describe it merely as being kind to speed, and I feel like the hot pace in there leveled the playing field. One of the things that impressed me the most about Epic Ride was his ability to stick on despite those fast fractions. How do you see this year's Bluegrass in terms of flow for Epic Ride? Are you marking him up, marking him down, or leaving him kind of neutral coming out of that?
I move him up, maybe not as much as Just a Touch. I think that's fair. I know Time Form was very kind to Just a Touch, and I think that was the right move because he did sit close to a very quick horse in Top Connor, and who's a very good horse, but we saw how much he folded in the late stages, and Just a Touch kept on. But then you also have to move up Epic Ride because of that, because he was just off of Just a Touch, and he was wider than Just a Touch, and it was his first dirt race for Epic Ride, and that's a big difference for a horse. You never know. I mean, it's basically like going from turf to dirt. So the fact that he stuck in so well, he did not back up really at any point. He did get outrun late, but he did not back up. And I think the biggest thing for me was he finished on the correct lead. At no point in the race was he really on the wrong lead. And so that's just another step in the mental progression of this horse that I think makes him very intriguing, something you won't maybe read on your PPs, but mentally he is clearly having things click a little bit more. And back to time form, he ran the same number as Sierra Leone, who's going to be heavy first or second choice. So I think that's a very intriguing fact there.
These mini pods are brought to you by Free Reign Coffee Company. They've been powering the In the Money team throughout the Triple Crown prep season, and the coffee is fantastic. Whether you're looking for whole beans, grounds, or pods, Free Reign give you what you need to get up and get after it. And they've got subscriptions available too, so you never run out. Use our promo code MONEY20 for a 20% discount site-wide over at freereigncoffee.com. $4 million. That's how much original ITM Plus subscribers and contributors have won at the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge over the last 5 years. ITM Plus is the place for our best Kentucky Derby information, including grid picks from the team, trip notes, and specific betting advice. Sign up today at inthemoneypodcast.com/plus. I think you've tipped your hand on your answer to this question already, but I have to ask it. Is Epic Ride a live long shot in this year's Kentucky Derby?
Absolutely. I'll be preaching that to the choir, so I'm okay if I tip my hand because, I like everyone, I'm always looking for the live long shot. This year I haven't had a horse. I've been waiting for this guy to get in because I just think he's doing all of the right things. He might not be perfect, but he's an improving product mentally and physically, and he's also going to love the 1.25 miles. He's by Blame. That's enough to do it, and then there's some good stuff on the dam side too to really punch it home.
What price are you expecting on Epic Ride?
I don't think he'd be any less than 35, 40 to 1. I think he was 50 to 1 in the Bluegrass, which on that day surprised me. I thought he was a much better contender than some of the horses who were high single digits. That's obviously personally, but he brings his race to the table every time, and he does it impressively. And I haven't heard much chatter about him even up to this point. So I think that there's enough horses, enough money that'll flow elsewhere where you'll get a nice price on him from a win perspective.
And I think, even if the win pool is a little bit depressed, as we've seen that phenomenon with no horse being that big of a price, probably a horse that is going to be reflected of the huge long shot odds in the eyes of the public in bets like the Exacta, the Trifecta, the Superfecta, where he's probably, I'm assuming you're going to tell me, more likely to end up running in underneath than to win the thing outright. Or is that a mischaracterization of your opinion?
Yeah, I think at this stage in the game, anything can happen after the draw. I think if I can picture a perfect trip for him where he can't lose, then yeah, maybe I'd find him on top. But realistically, he is more of that underneath contender that we talk about. I think that he is the ideal underneath contender because while the talent might not be a fierceness of Sierra Leone, who we know at their best are basically unbeatable, he, once again, brings it every time. And that's what you need in a horse in the Kentucky Derby. If you look over the years, those types who are hard knocking tend to finish well in second, third, and fourth, fifth.
I'd be remiss and accused of a host fail if I didn't ask, having worked on the top 10 list all winter long for us. Again, you can find those videos elsewhere on our YouTube channel here in the Money Media. But I got to ask, who are your top contenders for winning the race? Does it dovetail perfectly with that last top 10, or has your opinion evolved any?
I still, the more I look at it, the more I do agree with the general public. It's a 2-horse race because I can't find that horse who is more talented than Fierceness and Sierra Leone. But I have hated this entire Derby trail, and the only word I can use is hated how much quirkiness they have. Sierra Leone's inability to really finish, Fierceness's lack of heart, it seems, when he's slightly tested. That frustrates me. Dornick is a horse I still kind of like. Even though I know the Bluegrass wasn't great, it really is post-dependent and trip-dependent in that regard. I still think he has all the talent in the world, but he's one that has struggled mentally, but unlike maybe a Fierceness, a Sierra Leone, an Epic Ride, he doesn't seem to have figured that part out yet. So that's discouraging. So like I said, maybe 2 horses, but there's a few I'm still keeping in mind.
And in terms of exactas, the 4 you've mentioned, assuming you can split Fierceness and Sierra Leone, and I will say it doesn't seem that likely that they're both, it could happen, but it doesn't seem that likely to me for exacta purposes that they're both going to fire their best shot. If you want to mix in a couple long shots like Epic Ride and Dornoch with each of them, depending on how you construct your tickets, you could still get something that really pays. Speaking of things that pay, check out In the Money Plus. Eric's been doing a great job over there coordinating content. It's the place to get all the best stuff that we've got. InTheMoneyPodcast.com/plus. For that, Eric, thank you so much. We'll do another show very soon.
All righty.